Madam Chair, members of the board, Lexington One family, and Dr. Little. I want to spend just a couple of minutes of your time updating you on the progress of SELF, which stands for Supportive Enrichment for Lexington One families. I'm pleased to update you about the progress we have made in building and beginning to implement this program. As a reminder, I wanted to share with you a quick overview of SELF. SELF is designed to cultivate relationships with support staff members and their families and provide their middle and high school age children with career awareness opportunities, academic and social emotional enrichment, and access to services, learning experiences, and programs. The design and implementation of SELF is wrapped around these goals. We want to support students and families in the transition from elementary to middle school. We also wish to offer consistent access over time to academic and career enrichment opportunities, including camps, field trips, workshops, and so on, throughout the year as well as during the summer months. Sustained partnerships with parents and/or families and strong relationships with students are key, and we want to make sure that we continue to improve relationships with these students and their families. Another goal of SELF is the recruitment and retention of support staff members. This is very important. The implementation of this program will aid in meeting these goals and others as they arise. This is our hope. So to give you a little bit of information about our first cohort, we began this cohort really kicking it off last year. We prioritized students of our food service, maintenance, and transportation staff, 3 of our most valuable support staff groups. We plan to expand the offering to additional support staff groups, but wanted to start small and learn through the implementation of our first cohort. It is designed to be sustained support over these 7 years of schooling from 6th grade through 12th grade and launch a high school senior into college or career, a goal aligned with our strategic plan. This past fall, we recruited students for our first cohort. We held a virtual kickoff meeting via Zoom, and students and family members took part in this. And this summer, we began programming and have had ongoing communication with families and students. We also introduced school-level administrators to the SELF program in the spring. This fall, we made sure that our administrators and other school-level stakeholders knew which of their students were in the program and provided them with a profile sheet for ongoing communication between the program coordinator, who is Ms. Susan Helton, and others in the school who are involved in each child's journey in Lexington One. This may include career specialists, school counselors, advocacy teachers, mentors, etc. So to talk a little bit about the summer program, we were really excited. The programming is aligned to power skills as well as career clusters and student interest. As I said, this is Miss Susan Helton, who's up there with Dr. Little at one of our summer events. She's worked tirelessly to provide experiences for SELF students and families to take part in. One example highlighted on the screen, this July, students and families had the opportunity to take part in a Columbia Fireflies game. Each participant received a hat, a food voucher, and free admission to the game, which happened to be a double header, so free admission to 2 games. We sat on the third base line, and between the games, students and family members attended a workshop led by individuals who are in the hospitality and tourism industry who work at Segra Park, the home of the Fireflies. It was a lot of fun. We had a great time. On a side note, the Fireflies were up against my hometown, the Augusta Green Jackets, which are housed in North Augusta. So if that's not confusing. But they beat us both times. I also wanted to take a moment and share some upcoming events for SELF. We had planned to do a face-to-face escape room at Escape Plan Columbia, but due to the pandemic, we've had to shift this to a virtual escape room experience. Students will take part in this soon. In September, we're going to be offering a Parent University virtual workshop, and in October, Ms. Helton has planned a trip to Mission Lexington, but again, because of the pandemic, we're going to go ahead and make a shift, and we will keep you posted on that. But we're trying to plan at least one event monthly that can be kind of a community event. We've also got ongoing support for students. We're continuing to connect them with academic coaches, mentors, and job shadowing opportunities. I've been talking with families recently. I'm amazed by the aspirations of these young people. They're interested in things like forensic psychology, neonatal nursing, crisis negotiation, and starting their own businesses. Some of these things I wasn't even sure without watching some television programs, what they were. But it's very, very interesting. And we're going to continue to work to connect these students with job shadowing opportunities and allow them to see firsthand what these professionals do on a day-to-day basis. Finally, we are working to train our mentors in motivational interviewing this November and December. So we'll have some more information on that pretty soon. They can help students set goals for themselves and reflect on how their choices impact their personal and academic lives. So a little bit about our current cohort. We currently have 26 6th grade through 12th grade students participating in SELF. They represent each of the staff member groups that I spoke of earlier, our food service, maintenance, and transportation staff. These have been identified. We have 11 females and we have 12 males, 5 middle school students and 18 high school students. Some of our middle school students from last year went to high school. And some of our high school students from last year graduated. But we do have 9 of these students that are seniors this year, so we're really excited about that. And all of our Lexington One feeder patterns are represented. So I wanted to share just a little bit about what we've learned and what has been confirmed by this. First and foremost, relationships matter. We know this, and it has been just further confirmed by this process. Something that has been confirmed is that ongoing relationships are key. It's important to continue to build relationships, to be a good listener and understand that everybody's story is important and our differences make us stronger. Something else that's been confirmed is that our schools are providing some amazing support already. Opportunities for students to excel and for their families to take part. I've heard very little from folks, and I've talked to every single parent in this group and several of the students. I've heard very little from folks who are feeling like schools are not responsive to their needs. This is an on top of responsiveness piece that SELF is providing. We're very fortunate to have teachers, administrators, and staff members who care about students and families and their well-being. Thirdly, this program is modeled after a program at Wake Forest School of Medicine. Our design has actually shifted to an even more personalized approach for our students and for our families. For example, in the original program, they would have weekly study sessions that were held once a week, face-to-face, and you would have a mentor or an academic coach that would meet with you. Our program is actually based on really evaluating the needs and wants of each of the participants and their families and providing opportunities to connect them with some of our existing resources. And if a resource doesn't exist, we find them what we can. Finally, we're continuing to seek out enrichment opportunities to meet the specific needs and wants of our students through creating partnerships with other organizations and stakeholders in the community. I will say that the disruption has caused a disruption for the program as well. I would love to say that we've had lots of face-to-face opportunities. I feel like mentoring and academic coaching is something that in a face-to-face setting is going to be most effective. That's what the research says too from the experts that I've spoken with. We're going to continue to press on, but I didn't want you to think that we hadn't made progress, because we have. So plans for Cohort 2. As we begin thinking about our next cohort, we're going to be meeting with human resources. I've actually got a meeting with a human resources rep actually later this week, and we're going to talk about next steps. We're going to talk about recruitment of our next cohort and seek out the opportunity to expand SELF to other staff member groups. We're going to talk about what that might look like. Recruitment will officially begin later this fall, but we are continually meeting support staff members who have children in the district who want to take part in SELF. I was actually subbing in a school last week, spoke with a person that I was subbing with. I was handing out breakfast. This was a person who happened to work in the cafeteria. She said, my son is really enjoying this high school. And I said, oh, what grade is your son in? And we had a conversation. By the end of the day, the child is part of the program. That's just kind of how it works. It's word of mouth. It's spreading out. We have another student that we connected with, the student, and Ms. Helton actually sent me the information. I emailed the parent. They're now going to be part of the program. So it's going to be one of those things that's picking up steam, and it's going to be a word of mouth, and it's very much relational. And sometimes that doesn't translate over Zoom. So I want to thank the board and Dr. Little for the opportunity to help with this project. And at this time, I welcome any questions that you may have.
Do you feel like it's impacted our employment rate or reduced our turnover rate for those employee classes having this benefit for their children?
I'm not sure yet, but I think that the relationships do matter. And again, as I'm having these conversations with the parents, they really are, and family members, they're really excited that there's this extra layer of support for their students. And again, we have so many awesome supports for the kids, but this is just one extra piece that I feel like it's almost like a net of support that we can wrap around for our staff members and their families.
That is a data point that we're going to track over time.
Absolutely.
And then employee classes where we have turnover, such as bus drivers and others that may be hard to recruit, it may be to think about offering, expanding essentially employee classes where we struggle to keep, so.
Absolutely.
Is there a cap?
Well, yes.
Just piggybacking off of what he said. If
Yes,
we're
well, there is not a cap at this point. I will take on as many folks as I can. And we have the capacity to continue to build the program. But I think some of those things are things we're going to work through with human resources. But Ms. Gaskins, did you have anything?
Well, I think you've just said it, Albert. So we don't want it to be like an exclusive program. We want it to be an inclusive program. So our goal is to include as many students as possible. And as we learn through this first cohort to really understand what the implications of that will be, like staffing wise, who do we need to leverage? We don't anticipate having to add any staff to support the program. But as Albert already mentioned, how do we leverage our existing staff and take advantage of programs that are already in place so that we can include as many students as possible?
So how are these students recruited?
So what we have done in the past, and again, we're revising our process. I've gone through HR and identified all of the folks who are in those 3 support staff groups, and I've sent out an email. I've also sent out paper forms in English and in Spanish and put those out to where folks can get them at the different sites. So at like the transportation office, I've gotten with the head of food services and tried to disseminate as best as I can through that. I've gotten a couple of folks who have been interested because they have heard from word of mouth that this is a program that they are interested in. In a perfect situation, what I would like to do is have a brochure that is in every new employee packet that says this is a program for students of support staff members. Haven't gotten there yet, but that's one of the goals. Absolutely.
Are grandchildren included or just children?
So again, as Ms. Gaskins said, we're trying to be inclusive, not exclusive. So that is one of those things that in a case-by-case basis, we will have those conversations. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Albert.